Please rise in body and or spirit and join in singing our opening hymn, number 76, For Flowers That Bloom About Our Feet. It's also, eventually will be up there.
Good morning. So it's a special day, and I hope that as you came in today, you got a question, a form for a question. So did you? If you didn't get a question form, raise your hand because we want to know. Okay, we'll get one to you, Marge. This is an annual tradition here. You send questions, and I'll do my best to answer them. And instead of a sermon, it's sort of an improv sermon, so I hope we get some good questions in today, and we'll see how that goes. But in the meantime, I just want to say thanks for coming today, and a special thanks to all the dads out there, the dads who are bio dads and all kinds of dads who support and love people. So welcome, dads. Do we have some dads here today? Just to raise your hand and be a dad, and look at the dads. Well, we sure love the dads. I'm a dad, actually. So happy Father's Day, and I think there's donuts for dads after the service, and we'll talk about that. And I wanted to give you guys a key. I've given it to you before, but it's a key. It opens so many doors, and I don't want you to drop the key and lose it. The key is the question. It's a simple question. It's the best question, one of the best questions you can ask people when you're just getting to meet them. The simple question is, tell me something about yourself. So we're going to start that after the service. Right now, I just want you to greet one another and say good morning. If you would, a second, and I'll ring the bell to bring us back to order, just to make sure we're all greeted. Great. Thank you for the gift of your presence today. And a little bit later on in the service, we'll be receiving the questions. We'll just pass them to the center of the row, and I'll do my best to answer as many as I can. It's great to see everyone.
The one who knows all the answers has not been asked all the questions. Confucius. I invite you now to join me in speaking aloud the words of our affirmation. Love is our doctrine, compassion is our way. Here we seek to create a joyful home for free religious exploration, build a community of caring fellowship, nurture the hopes, and serve the needs of our world.
Good morning. I'm going to share this morning a couple of songs because it's Father's Day, right? And evidently, am I live back there? Yes, okay. It's Father's Day, and I am first generation from a Scottish family. And this summer is the 10th anniversary of my father's passing. So, as a nod to my father and a nod to Scotland, I went online and looked up the 15 most popular all-time songs of Scotland and eliminated the Gaelic ones right off the bat because I don't have a Gaelic coach anymore. But I chose a couple of songs, and this first song is something you would still probably hear in pubs. It's called Wild Mountain Thyme, and the point of this song was the young women of the little villages, they're very isolated in Scotland, would, in the spring, to signal that they were ready to begin dating and having a romantic life, they would go up into the hills around where the heather was blooming, and tucked in there would be these sprigs of wild mountain thyme. And they would tuck it behind their ear, and that was the clue that, you know, I'm ready, I'm old enough now to be considering getting married or having a boyfriend or whatever. And occasionally those didn't work out, so you just go out and find some more girlfriends to go with and choose some more. So that's what this song is about. I happen to think it's a beautiful song, so I hope you do too. Oh, the summertime is coming, and the trees are sweetly blooming, and the wild mountain thyme blooms around the purple heather. Will ye go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together to pull wild mountain thyme all around the bloomin' heather. Will ye go, lassie, go? If my true love he should leave me, I will surely find another to pull wild mountain thyme all around the bloomin' heather. Will ye go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together to pull wild mountain thyme all around the bloomin' heather. Will ye go, lassie, go? I will build my love a bower by yon clear and crystal fountain, and in it I will pile all the flowers of the mountain. Will ye go, lassie, go? And we'll all go together to pull wild mountain thyme all around the bloomin' heather. Will ye go, lassie, go?
Yes, to light 3 chalices when we begin our Sunday services. The first chalice is for all who are gathered here, all our members and friends. The second is for our partner church in Simonfalva, Transylvania, Romania. And the third is for children and youth, both those in our religious exploration program and all children around the world. Our faith is not an easy one. To question, to doubt, to unendingly seek greater understanding. We are not guaranteed final conclusions, or even that we will find the answers to our questions. Yet, by sharing our quest, our love, and our light, we see that the world is filled with beauty and awe, and in each other's love, we find grace.
Good morning. Can everybody young or young at heart please join me up front for a story today? Good morning. Hi. Hi. Yesterday, Sarah and I did a booth at Salem Pride, so we saw a lot of our kids there. It was really nice to see so many of our friends. And it's the first week of summer vacation, so a lot of our friends might be home today, but we're really excited for you all to be here. Hi there. And we're going to give out some birthday cards. If Annie wants to do that now. Yeah.
Good morning, you guys. I've got a couple birthday cards, and if these people aren't here today, I'll make sure that they get them. But make sure that when you guys come, that you sign up and you tell us when your birthday is so that I can give you a card when it's the right time. So I have Emerson Lee. His birthday is on the 22nd. And Cameron Gonzalez. By chance, neither one is here. Okay. Well, happy birthday to Emerson and Cameron. And if you see them in the next couple weeks, then go ahead and wish them a happy birthday. Well, there you go. Okay, and yeah, thank you. Happy birthday.
Okay. I'm reading a book for Father's Day. It's called The Night Before Father's Day. Thank you. 'Twas the night before Father's Day, and while Dad rode his bike, we raced to the garage, Mom, me, and Mike. We tossed tons of junk. Mom picked up stray nails. We stacked towers of paint cans and white plastic pails. On hooks, we hung cords, hoses, and wires. Mom put away ladders and bicycle tires. We swept out the cobwebs and scrubbed up oil spills, set up Dad's hammers, screwdrivers, and drills. After washing the car, we polished it up. Then inside, we left Dad a new to-go coffee cup. Mom eyed the dipstick. Yep, it's a quart low. So she poured in more oil. Now it's ready to go. Exhausted, we nestled all snug in our beds while visions of Father's Day danced in our heads. The next morning, we let Dad sleep in extra late, then served him bacon and eggs on a He-Man-sized plate. Happy Father's Day, we shouted and gave him our card. He laughed when he read it. So did Mom, just as hard. Now get ready, Dad, for the biggest surprise. They're right, said Mom. You won't believe your eyes. We blindfolded Dad and led him outside. Look what we did, we said, beaming with pride. When what to his wondering eyes should appear but a man's dream garage, Dad smiled ear to ear. His tools all so handy, his workbench so clean. It was the neatest garage that he'd ever seen. Guess what, Dad? I said. There's still one more treat. Right on cue, Mom backed his car out onto the street. Wow, Dad exclaimed. Look at that shine. Who'd ever guessed that this car's really mine? Hop in, he said, so we all piled inside. We're going for a long Sunday ride. Dad honked the horn twice as we all drove away. Thank you, he said, for the best Father's Day. The end. Thank you. Today we are having donuts for dads after the service in the fellowship hall. So we hope to see you there. And happy Father's Day to my dad who's out there in the back. Love you. Okay, everybody in the center, rise up, please, for the love arch. We'll be on our way.
Wherever you walk, walk in love. Wherever you walk, walk in peace. Wherever you walk in beauty all around you. Our hearts go with
And now let us sit in love. Oh, yeah? Okay.
Rick, if you could pass your questions to the center aisle, I'll pick those up from you now.
And while we're doing that, I'd just like to invite you into a contemplative space to just take a breath, be in this moment, be in this moment of time, following your breathing. Always follow your breath, and you can return to your true self. And so we gather here in this place to remind ourselves of the highest and holiest ideals that we hold. And we realize we're all in the same boat. We're all in the same boat, all of us. As you look around at your fellow beings, please remember they too have their hopes and dreams. They too have their sorrows and heartbreaks. Every person that you see. Seek to be a friend to everyone. Seek to have compassion for everybody is in need of it. And as we offer it to one another, we build a compassionate world, where compassion is our way. And gratitude for the gifts that flow into our lives, most especially the gift of friendship and love. So let us be grateful for the simple goodness and the kindness of human nature. Know that there are friends that you can make all over the world. There are kind and wonderful people everywhere. What a gift. What a wonderful gift. Compassion and gratitude, we remind ourselves of these two ideals that we might remember to walk the path that leads to happiness, that leads to fulfillment, that leads to peace and justice. May it be so. Amen.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Annie Jocelyn, and I am one of your Lifeline lay ministers. I have a couple joys and concerns to share with you today. Over here, we have candles that we light to represent these joys and concerns, and some people even come up before service, and thank you for doing that if you have a joy that or concern that you want to represent with a candle that you don't want red. But up here, I have from Leslie and Bob Zygon, Their month-old Eleanor is up to 9 pounds, and she is the one that recently had heart surgery, and so we're very happy about that. I have an anonymous submission saying, I am glad I found UUCS when I really needed it. Me too. And then also from Bob and Leslie Zygon, a concern, pray for Nathan for the best job. There were no submissions online. We did get an email, and I have to admit that Sarah sent it to me, and now it's not on my phone, and I saw it. And I'm sorry. It was about a birth on June 12th, which I am sorry. I can't read more about it right now, but we will make sure we read it next week. And we have one last final candle to light for any joys and concerns that are in your hearts that you do not that have not been spoken out loud today. If you have any joys or concerns, if you ever need any help, I want you to remember that all of us Lifeline lay ministers are here to help Reverend Rick with this important job. You can reach us through the email up above. You can also find us at the table in the hall after the service. Thank you so much.
Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I feel your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears. Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I feel your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears. Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I feel your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears.
So,
So just so you know, there were quite a few on one particular subject, and I'm combining them for you, so you
Okay.
only have to answer once.
okay. Let's see. Here's one. I'm going to have to weigh in on the gun control issue here, apparently. So, why are people ignoring what the Second Amendment actually says? Why are they shooting groups of U.S. citizens? The gun control controversy has been so divisive and so polarizing. And I'm a person who's not really happy with guns. I don't own a gun. I don't like guns. I wish that they didn't exist, but they do exist. But I'm also aware that the way we're framing and addressing this issue is polarizing and escalating and getting into dangerous levels. And I think we need to have some opportunities to explore different ways of having this conversation. It's so tragic that we have to be in such fear all the time of guns. And I would almost call myself a gun abolitionist, but I also feel as that the way that we're attacking the issue is only making it worse. So I think that we need to have some honest conversations, some good conversations around this so that we can begin to de-escalate and disarm this nation. This is a really profound concern that warrants more than just a brief answer here, but just know that it's on my heart and mind a lot. Define spirituality in terms of your own beliefs. I like that word spirituality. I think it works well for Unitarian Universalists. For me, spirituality is about connection. If, we breathe, we inspire, our breath connects us to everything. And I think of spirituality as something that enlarges you. It enlarges your heart, not literally, and opens your soul and makes you feel more connected to other people, to life, to the great mystery of life. And there are so many ways that you can walk a spiritual path. That's what I like about our tradition, is that we don't say you have to walk a particular spiritual path, or that spirituality must be defined in certain particular terms that meet certain creedal needs of certain religions. I don't think that's true. I think that you often hear people say, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual. And I'm not totally on board with that distinction, but I think it's a good thing to remember that spirituality is not confined to organized religion, and it's about connecting with everyone in a spirit of love. We are all aware that for Reverend Reck, Beethoven is number one. Or is there a number two? And if so, who? Well, I love classical music, and it's true that Beethoven is the one who's really taken me to the highest heavens. But I really love Bach. There's a lot to Bach. There's so much there. And I actually, I guess one of the most amazing things in my life is that one of my most favorite composers turned out to be my own son, who's a really good composer, and his music has been played all over the place, and he's really good. But I like Schubert, I like Prokofiev, Shostakovich, Brahms, all of them. But Beethoven's number one. But this idea that we have to have number one and number two, I think of them like great mountain ranges. Why do you have to have a favorite mountain? They're all beautiful and so lovely. So anyway, but Beethoven is my guy. You know that for sure. What is your favorite rock or pop musician or group? Well, that's a hard one. I haven't listened to a lot of that music, but I do like some of the pop musicians and groups that are out there, some really talented musicians. I like Chris Isaak. He's a really good musician. I'm trying to think of this Natalie Merchant. She's a really talented musician. Those are two that I could mention. Great songwriters. There's many of them out there. Is walking a spiritual practice? That's a good question. So imagine you're seeing somebody walk like this, and I don't have my smartphone with me, but they're walking like this. That, I don't think, is a spiritual practice. Walking like this. Is a spiritual practice. Enjoying life as you walk. I think, as I defined spirituality early on, walking is actually an excellent spiritual practice. But I guess I'm an old-fashioned person. I really don't like seeing people walking around looking at their screens and not looking at the world. I think they're missing out on something. So anyway, I'm glad you asked that question, so it gave me a chance to register my complaint about that. Let's see. What efforts are made at the UU to diversify its congregation? Diversity is something that we always want to have in a congregation, because if you don't have diversity, there's uniformity, and there's not creativity, there's not spontaneity. The efforts that we make to increase diversity at UU are simply to be welcoming of everybody on Sunday mornings, to be aware. We have a growing community that's becoming ever more diverse. And I think that it is a good challenge for this congregation to think about how can we create conditions so that when people come in that they feel comfortable. And it's a challenging thing sometimes because people come from many different walks of life. But it's really incumbent on us to create a community where anybody who comes in feels welcome. This is a spiritual community, and it would really break my heart if somebody said, I came here, but I felt rejected. I didn't feel accepted. It's hard to have diversity programs where you aim to raise your diversity in a certain congregation. Life is organic. It doesn't work according to your plans and schedules. But having a heart, an open heart, and wanting to embrace the diversity of the community, I think is the first step. And it's our heart. It is our heart. I've never met a member of the congregation that's not interested in welcoming a greater diversity of people. There are many different types of diversity, too, not just the visual diversity. There's diversity of the ways that we think and feel. And so that's an important part of that conversation as well. How do we build curiosity and reflection, thinking in our children? You know, one of the things that I do like about our country overall, our culture overall, you'll sometimes hear systems in the world where children are educated and they are told what to think. It's very, you are just fed, you are spoon-fed. We have a wonderful preschool here. It's called Kaleidoscope Preschool. And the way that it operates is that the child's own curiosity drives, there are many different ways that they can be involved in things, but I don't think that you have to build curiosity for children. I think you just have to not stifle it, allow the curiosity to grow. And reflection, when they ask you questions, I think it's good to maybe ask them a question back and have a dialogue and not just give a simple answer to your child. And also, I think it's important to communicate to the child that their views are important and that they can begin to form their own views and reflect on their own, to encourage them. What do you believe happens after we die? Well, I haven't died yet, so it has to be in the realm of belief. You know, in our culture, I think we have a fairly simplistic view of things. We talk about, you know, either you die and there's nothing, or you die and and your soul goes to heaven. I'm more intrigued by Eastern religions, especially Buddhism, that says, well, if you really look at it, you never were an isolated individual to begin with. And discovering that truth helps you see that when your body dies, that it's not quite the same thing that you thought it was, that you're part of something. Every time I do a memorial service, I say, you know, something eternal is revealed in everything. And I think there's something eternal. I can't define it. I find that the Hindu Upanishads speak to me most closely of what I believe happens after we die. I think that there is something within us all that transcends the seeming finality of death, but I can't say what that is. I don't think that death is the end, but it's a pretty major change for sure. I think it's a mystery. Let's leave it at that. It is a mystery to me, but it's a mystery that I embrace. How is it UU at the national level responding to the political turmoil in our country? How is the UUA at the national level? Same question written twice. I think that a religion should initially seek to ground people spiritually, ground people to invite us to be compassionate and caring people, and anything that takes me along a path that leads me to despise and hate 50% of the people in this country, I don't think is a good path. It's not a very elevated moral plane. And I think that sometimes our religion at the national level thinks of religion too much in terms of social and political movements exclusively. And I think that before you can go off on your social and political movements, you have to be grounded. Otherwise, you're just going to be like everybody else, shouting and screaming. If you're going to bring about transformation, you have to be a transformative person yourself, calm and peaceful and loving and compassionate to all people. So I don't think that the National UU is actually doing very much that's helpful these days. I think they tend to play into the polarizing dynamics in our country, and I'm not sure that's the way we need to go, to just make it worse. Which is not to say that there aren't some issues that need to be addressed that tend to be polarizing. Nevertheless, I think that we're in a difficult time in our nation where things are really, really tearing us apart further and further, and we need to think about what brings us together. Which is worse, wickedness or indifference? That's a good question, and a hard one to answer. That's that famous Edmund Burke quote that all that is required for evil to prevail is for enough good people to do nothing. And I think that you almost can't separate the two. For wickedness to thrive, there has to be a lot of indifference. It's sort of like two sides of the same coin almost. And I think it's maybe indifference is something that we would want to spend more attention thinking on. How am I an indifferent person? How am I not paying attention? So wickedness, evil, is definitely a problem in our world when people become deranged and go off and do harmful and dangerous things to other people. But maybe indifference is a greater problem. I think evil and wickedness wouldn't get very far down the road if there was a lot more concerned people to stop it. And that takes courage. It takes courage to do that. Please give us a check-in explaining something that weighs you down and something that keeps you afloat. Well, what weighs me down is, you remember that Rodney King incident many years ago when he was being beaten by police officers and there was a riot and everything, and he asked a simple question: why can't we all just get along? And it's always a problem in our lives when we misunderstand and don't communicate well and have misunderstandings and anger and fear arise and all sorts of stuff like that. I'm glad I meditate. I'm glad I meditate because it helps you come out of those places. But negative human interactions really do bring me down and bother me because I really like to be in good relationships with everyone. And so if I feel like I'm not, it's a really disturbing thing for me. Something that keeps me afloat is a lot of times I'll come here and I'm not in a terribly great mood, but then just being around other people really lifts me up. I realize that even though I think I might classify myself as an introvert, I really do need other people to interact with, and that there's something about the dialogue, the energy that you have with another person, especially a good friend, somebody you can talk to, that really kind of lifts you up and puts wind in your sails. And what really puts wind in my sails is beautiful music and this beautiful world, just looking around at everything. And my meditation practice, Gordana and I have a daily meditation practice, and it really is important. It kind of prepares you to have your sails filled with life because you've unfurled your sails and you're ready to go. Do you have a pet? And what kind of, and what's your pet's name? Well, we actually live in our household is a felinocracy, and it's ruled by cats. We're there to meet their needs and to serve them however we can. And they are cats who all came to us and appeared to us, and we take care of them. And they're fun. There's Henry and Ramona and Ivy. They've all come to us, and they're great. So any response to your friend bumper sticker? A few months ago, I did a sermon, and a sermon was about finding the perfect bumper sticker for my car, and I went through all these things, and finally I came up with, my bumper sticker simply says, and you'll see it, no you won't, I didn't drive my truck in today, but it simply says, your friend. That's my bumper sticker. And I've had a lot of no responses at all. I don't think people respond. I saw a little kid walk by and they pointed, hey, look at that. So I think that I can't help but believe that it has a positive effect. If you're reading bumper stickers, telling you what to think and what to feel and what to believe. And a bumper sticker, it says, hey, I'm your friend. And I mean that. I really like to be friends with everybody. I like to approach a person with the idea that I'm here to help you and you're here to help me if we can. And so I like that bumper sticker. I'm glad I finally put it on. No rear end collisions. I think people probably treat me a little nicer and say, hey, he's a nice guy. We're not. So it might be good to put that bumper sticker on your car. You'll have less, terrible times out there in the traffic, people giving you the finger or something. So, what is the role and importance of, help me with this word.
Listening to people.
Listening, okay. What is the role and importance of listening to people as we navigate life? I am not the best listener in the world, but sometimes I'm good at it. But when I feel like I've been listened to, when somebody listens to you and really isn't just waiting to jump in and add their part to the conversation, but you have the sense that they're listening to me and they're respecting me, that's a really big thing. Listening involves more than simply, the auditory recognition of what was said, but the whole self, the whole being. It just means that you are receptive to what another person has to offer. And if you never, ever get to a situation where you feel as though anybody's listening to you, it's a very lonely thing. It's very lonely if nobody ever really listens to you, and you never really listen to anyone else. That's one of the reasons we really focus in our Lifelines lay ministry program. We call it a ministry of presence, a ministry of presence. We want to be present with people and listen, because actually listening helps heal you. If you feel like you've been listened to and that you're liked and supported, that really has a beneficial impact on you. So I've heard of some doctors who were just excellent listeners, and I think it makes a real difference in the lives of the patients who are there. Every role in life, if you are a good listener, that's going to have such a positive effect on the people around you and on you too. What next now? So I should tell everybody here, in case you didn't know, I sent out a letter earlier this week announcing my retirement a year from now. So I don't know if everybody got that letter or knows that I'm making that transition after I'll have been here 31 and a half years. So I'll be here another year. I didn't want to just leave abruptly, but it says, what next and why now? Well, I'll answer why now first. I'll be 74 next June, and that's getting up there. It's getting up there. And I think the congregation deserves a new minister, new perspectives, new insight, new energy. It really helps. It will really be a good thing for you. I know there will be a lot of sadness and grief as we say goodbye to one another in this next year. But I could sense that the time was ripe. If you overstay, that's going to be problematic. If you leave too hastily, that's also problematic. I think I've chosen just the right spot to make my exit. I think if I stayed longer, it wouldn't be a good thing because I'm getting old. Or at least my driver's license tells me that I'm getting old. I don't really feel that way. And what's next? Lots of times you hear when people retire that they have to get, used to be, this CEO, this manager, this thing, but now you're just going to have to get used to not being that anymore. And so I don't think that's true for me. I don't really intend on retiring from the ministry. I like Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter. I actually studied under Jimmy Carter at Emory University. And you know what he said to me one day? He didn't say anything. He didn't know me from Adam. But he spoke to the whole class. And this was after he completed his presidency. And the idea that I would stop wanting to be of service after I retire. I have thoughts of continuing a ministry and teaching meditation in the prison. I have thoughts of working with the church, the park, the homeless people in the community. I have thoughts on writing a book about appreciate the spirituality of classical music, or classical music as a spiritual practice. I want to introduce classical music to a lot more people because I think they can enjoy it. They just don't think they can. I would like to travel. I'd like to spend a lot of time with my wife, Gordana, and we would have some good times together. And I don't really plan my life out. It just sort of happens, and it comes, and it's good, and I go with the flow. So I don't know what my retirement will look like exactly. So anyway, it says, what's next for UUCS? You'll have a good long time to think about this and poll the nation and find the finest minister in the nation to come here. And a lot of people will want to come to this congregation, I can assure you. Who is the longest serving UU minister in the Pacific Northwest District now? That's probably me, I think. I don't know, but we appreciate you and wish that you would stay. We love you. Well, I will probably stay in the community. There is a necessary change when you leave a congregation and you don't come back and meddle in. You have to sort of pull away and let the palate be cleansed, and so that there's an opportunity for a new ministry to begin. And it's I was crying when I wrote the letter because it's really emotional for me to have been here for so long and done all that. But I was thinking about, I cry a lot because I work on memorial services for people, and I really love them. And when it's a 98-year-old person like Mary Solstrom, there is sadness and sorrow, but when it's a much younger person, it really, really breaks my heart. So my ministry has been a long, good one. We're in the old age of my ministry here, and there should be some sadness, I guess, but not profound grief. It's not like an untimely parting and a loss. So that's all the questions. Are there some more?
Nope, I combined those last
Oh, the questions had to do with what's it going to be like after I leave and everything. You guys are going to be great, and I'll still be in the community, and I'll drift back in after a time, but there needs to be a break. But we're here for an entire year, and this is a place where we will continue to come and ask questions and be in dialogue with one another and continue our journey. So this is the first year I've gotten through all the questions, so I'm getting good. Maybe I should stick around. Yeah, all right, she has another question. She's asking about every Sunday we light a chalice for our partner church in Šimenfalva, Romania. It's a kind of a confusing story. I'll try to sort it out here for you. Unitarianism as a theological idea traces back to the earliest days of Christianity. However, it came to institutional expression in Eastern Europe, in both Poland and in the land that was known as Transylvania at the time. It's Hungary and Romania, parts of that. But there were old Unitarian churches that formed out of the Reformation. It was the far left wing of the Reformation, they called it, that the Unitarian theologians created a new way of looking at the theology, of looking at Jesus as not divine, but as a human, a great human to inspire and elevate the rest of us. And so Eastern European Unitarianism came into being and has continued to exist up until the present day. But its connection with Unitarian Universalism in America is slight relationship, but the two movements developed independent of one another, although we were inspired by the literature coming from the Unitarians in the late 1800s. But we have discovered one another after the fall of Ceausescu in Romania. We were finally able to go over there and nurture our relationships. So it's a really interesting story to be with our Unitarian kin, and they're Unitarian. I've preached in the church there over in Šimenfalva in English. It was translated into Hungarian, but it's a beautiful community of people, and it's a wonderful thing to see that idea, that theological idea that we embrace too, had a start in Eastern Europe and continues in the land of Romania today, and a little bit in Hungary. It was completely wiped out of Poland, and so it's not there anymore. Well, we'll end on that note, a historical note. And why don't we go into a meditation? Just take a moment to find your center. Any time in life, no matter how hard, no matter how stressful, you can always return to your breath and find your center again. Return to your breath. Be aware as it comes in, and be aware as the breath goes out. Be aware that you can bring yourself to a calmer place. Be aware that it is within your power to do this. Amen.
Now, all of your questions have been answered. So, it's time to ask one of you. How will you support the works of this church, and through it, the community of which we are all a part? It is a blessing to be able to share our good fortune with others as well. This week, we support the Thompson Patch Scholarship Fund. They award scholarships to students of color and others who might otherwise be unable to pursue higher education. Donations may be made through the passing of the baskets, if you're here in the building, or by going online to uusalem.org and following the prompts. Thank you for your generosity.
This next song is also among the 15 most popular songs of Scotland all time. It was written by Dougie MacLean, a Highlander, I can tell because of his last name, and he was about 20 when he wrote this. He was on tour, he was homesick, and he wanted to go home, and it wasn't going well for him. I listened to this song and remembered the last time I saw my father, and I knew that he was going home soon. And as I worked through this song to find the voice to bring this song to you today, I realized that we all have a Caledonia. Caledonia is the poetic name for Scotland. So often when you hear Scots talk about Scotland, they'll say Caledonia. That's the poetic name for it. We all have a Caledonia. So as you listen to the words of this song, please think about in your heart, where is your Caledonia? And do you relate to Mr. MacLean's words? I don't know if you can see the changes that have come over me in these last few days. I've been afraid that I might drift away. So I've been telling old stories, singing songs that make me think about where I came from. That's the reason why I seem so far away today. But let me tell you that I love you, that I think about you all the time. Caledonia, you're calling me, now I'm going home. But if I should become a stranger, you know that it would make me more than sad. Caledonia's been everything I've ever had. I have moved and I've kept on moving, proved the points that I needed proven, lost the friends I needed losing, found others on the way. Oh, I have tried and I've kept on trying, stolen dreams, yes, there's no denying. I've traveled hard, sometimes with conscience, flying somewhere in the wind. But let me tell you that I love you, that I think about you all the time. Caledonia, you're calling me, now I'm going home. But if I should become a stranger, you know that it would make me more than sad. Caledonia's been everything I've ever Now I'm sitting here before the fire, the empty room and the forest choir, the flames that couldn't get any higher, well, they've withered now, they're gone. But I'm steady thinking my way is clear, and I know what I will do tomorrow. When the hands have shaken, the kisses flow, well, I will disappear. But let me tell you that I love you, that I think about you all the time. Caledonia, you're calling me, now I'm going home. For if I should become a stranger, you know that it would make me more than sad. Caledonia's been everything I've ever had. Ooh.
Next Sunday, we have one of our homilists speaking, Sarah Pickett, so please join us next Sunday for that. And also, I would invite you, especially if you're a visitor, to, did you get a visitor packet when you came in? I hope so, and also hope that you'll get online and look at and sign up for the newsletter, and also check out all the programs and activities that are happening around this congregation. And I hope you'll stick around. So that's all my announcements.
As we do each week, we're going to kindle the social justice lantern from the flame of our community chalice. This is in recognition of the many ways that we as a community take our efforts out into the greater world and share our gifts. As we extinguish the chalices, I want to leave you with another quote from Confucius. "The man who asks a question is a fool for a minute. The man who does not ask is a fool for life."
Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing our closing hymn, number 22 in the Gray Book, Dear Weaver of Our Lives' Design. Sorry, can we start this again, please? I'm still emotional. Sorry. Dear weaver of our lives' design, whose patterns will obey, with skillful fingers gently guide the sturdy threads that will survive the tangle of our lives. Take up the fabric of our lives with hands that gently. I'm sorry, jeez. Do the second verse again. Take up the fabric of our lives with hands that gently hold. Bind in the ragged edge that care would sunder and that pain could tear and mend our raveling soul. Let eyes that in the plainest cloth our hidden beauty see, discern in us our richest hues, show us the patterns we may use to set our spirits free.
And if you feel comfortable, please join hands, and we will say our closing words together. May faith in the spirit of life, hope for the community of earth, and love for the sacred in one another be ours now and in all the days to come. Aren't they? Yeah. Everybody did a great job.